Are you struggling to close high ticket prospects on your coaching calls, or are you just spending way too much on sales calls and not enough time? And really, what you love to do best, which is coaching people and showing them to their transformations. Well, you're probably making this one mistake that is holding you back from getting even more people into your program. I'll share that today and how you can have an even easier path going forward with higher conversions, more people in your program without even having to jump on any of these sales calls, so you can focus on what you love to do most. So it's the first time joining one of my lives. I am Brian Czekanski, and I help coaches in particular 10x their high ticket clients revenue, high ticket clients that are coming into their program. For some of them, that means 5 to 10 to 15 more clients coming into your one-to-one or group programs on a monthly basis consistently. And I do that without even using any sales calls whatsoever. But I know for a fact that many of coaches, especially in the last few weeks I've talked to, especially if you haven't gotten to the point where you're ready to hire a sales team, or maybe you're just getting going with a new group program, that you're in the position where you still have to conduct some of those sales calls. So in between coaching all your clients on a day-to-day basis, you've got these little sales calls in between. And it comes down to, a lot of times I'm hearing that they're not getting the type of conversions they're looking for. A lot of times I'll hear things like, I'm not getting qualified people. They don't have the financial wherewithal to get into my program. Any number of objections. But there's one key thing that I see that coaches struggle with, in that they don't take a sales mindset to these sales calls. They take that coaching mindset to the sales calls. They think that if I demonstrate my expertise and really coach that person up on a sales call and demonstrate how I can get them really quick transformations, that they will connect the dots and be confident and ready to go in terms of signing up with my program. But that's not how sales work. So again, there's two differences. There's coaching and there's sales, and they're two different things. And you have to realize that if somebody gets on a sales call with you, especially for your coaching program, you've already demonstrated for them that you can help them. Maybe they're not fully 100% there yet, but you've already done that demonstration. You've already built some level of trust, reputation, all those kind of things to get them to the point where they're on the sales call. And it's not your job on the sales call to further coach them up. At this point, we need to kind of take a breath and just really, walk you through kind of like a sales call approach, and why it's so different than coaching. So in a coaching type call, in that first session, very similar to a sales call, you'd start to get to know that person a little bit. You get to know their problems, you get to know their outcome. That's the same thing that you would do from a sales call perspective. We want to get to know a little bit more of their background before we even get to our offer, what we're all about. We want to get to know what's the context of them coming to this call. What are they dealing with? Where do they want to go? And we want to be able to, kind of collect that information and be able to echo it back to them and personalize it when we get to your coaching offer. And this is where people tend to get hung up a little bit, especially coaches. So as they get to know the problems and outcomes that they're looking for, they kind of jump right into that process. They start getting into like how they can help that person, where that's not the purpose of the sales call. Our sales call is to close a transaction, to get them into your program, and within your program, once they've paid money upfront for your services, that's when you can do the coaching. So again, once you've kind of gotten a little bit more personal information about them, what are their problems, what are their outcomes, that's where the similarities between coaching and sales go away. We don't want to get into a scenario where you're starting to help them with their problems or getting them transformations within that 20 or 30-minute call. We want to move very quickly into showing them and talking through why your program is different and handling some of those objections that they might have, and really personalizing your offer and bringing some of your personalized testimonials. So as they share some of those problems that they're dealing with, the outcomes that they're looking for, that's when you start getting into and providing a little bit more evidence in terms of social proof and testimonials to kind of bridge the gap between their problems and their outcomes they're looking for and getting to your offer. We're not going to get into your offer right away. We're going to bridge the gap by kind of sharing some of those testimonials of other coaching clients that you have helped before. And even if this is the first time, maybe you're a brand new coach and you don't have that social proof out there, it could be something as simple as sharing a little bit more about your story, especially if you're a coach that is really reaching back to an audience of a problem that you've dealt with before. It's using a little bit more validation and saying like, yeah, absolutely, I was in your shoes before, or I've coached somebody just like you, and here was the transformation that they went about. So in doing that and kind of sharing social proof or sharing the life transformation that you had, you're giving that person hope that once they do join your coaching program, once you do get to that coaching offer, you're building up that belief and building up that hope that they're finally in the right place. And you can talk about again, you can talk about all the different things, in asking them about their story. Ask them what other things they have tried. And again, before you even get to your offer, talk about how you might have, again, if it's your own life transformation, talk about how you might have tried something similar type approaches and why you found that they were flawed. And again, that sets up your customized offer as really looking at those flawed other options and how you create a better solution, a faster, easier, quicker type of solution along the way. So again, think about how you're kind of bridging between their story, your offer, and really building the belief over time, either using your own life story, not a long-winded one. Again, it could be just a few short minutes to really show some vulnerability, show some empathy with them. That's really the gap that we're really showing. Instead of coaching them to a transformation and trying to get them success on that sales call, we're going to use empathy. We're going to use validation to kind of bridge the gap between what they told you and your customized offer, so that when you do start to talk about your offer and all those kind of things, like on a sales call, what you actually do should be a very short portion of that sales call, especially if you can provide some testimonials up front of people just like them or your own life story. They're going to be maybe 80-90% sold already, and it's going to make a sense in terms of your coaching offer. Again, you can kind of just add a little bit more icing on the cake in terms of what they're looking for, and just think and that's when you can start to handle some of those objections. Again, everything from price. That's kind of what I hear all the time. If people are saying like, I'm not sure if it's worth it, or I don't have the money, that's their way of saying like, everything that has come before us in terms of what we talked about, I don't have that belief really built up in me. And again, there's certain people that maybe they don't have that 5K, 10K, 15K set up right now. That's where you can maybe that's where you can have in your back pocket a payment plan, maybe some financing, whatever it is. That's when you can ask the question like, okay, you can't afford 5K right now or 10K right now. What can you afford? And again, put that objective back to them. Do you have 2K right now that you can give me right now as a starting point? And can we work out a payment plan going forward in terms of what that looks like? If you were going to achieve the outcome that we talked about a little bit earlier in the call, how much would that be worth to you? So again, putting the focus on that outcome, sharing some of the outcomes that your coaching clients have been able to achieve that are very similar to that. And again, talking through some of the problems, like everybody thinks they're a special snowflake and that they're super unique. That's one of the main objections that you're going to get from people is like, I know this coach is successful, but can he or she help me with my unique situation? Because my problems and my outcomes that I'm looking for are so unique. So once you start talking about your own story or other coaching clients just like them that are kind of using that same word and phrasing and kind of echo that back to them, that's going to build up the belief for them. That's going to build up the value for it. So again, spend some time talking through all the benefits and outcomes and really dimensionalize for them what is possible so they can start to visualize it in their own mind. Again, this is an important part of a sales call. Whereas if you're really just coaching people on where they are right now and not helping them visualize all the value that they're going to get from your program, that's when you get to the point where you get to the end of the call and they're just like, I'm not sure I can afford this, or I'm not sure this is right for me, because you haven't created that visualization in their mind where they can see that transformation, and in working with you getting there. So it's less direct coaching and more kind of selling that outcome, that dream that you have achieved for other people in your own life, whatever it is, as you go along. And only then can you introduce your offer and personalize that offer and give them the roadmap for how you're going to get there. So again, you can sell the dream, you can sell the visualization of what is possible, but they need to see the stepping stones of how they're going to get there. It doesn't have to be week by week. I tend to think of like in the rule of threes. How can we think of breaking up your program, whether it's 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, how can we break that into three distinct phases and show them the little mini victories they're going to get along the way so they can build up confidence, so that when they do get into your coaching program and do start to see progress, like, okay, like this is something that he or she mentioned on the sales call, like I'm really moving along, I'm getting momentum, I'm heading in the right direction. Those little markers are really important to really connect the dots between where they are and that outcome that they want the most. Like, okay, like these are things that I really want, and I can see there's a progression there. The progression is really important, especially in selling coaching. But if you're getting lost in trying to coach that person up on that sales call, what tends to happen is you spend an hour and a half coaching up that person, and again, they sit there and say like, wow, that was great, but that's not exactly I'm seeing all these other options that might be getting there a little bit quicker. So again, especially if you're a coach jumping on a sales call, think about how you can put on your sales hat and kind of persuade that person, create that visual in their mind, so that when they do join your program, that's when you can switch back to your expertise, which is coaching, and getting them those little mini transformations along the way that will get them to that grand outcome that they're looking for the most. The other situation I talked about, again, I talked about how I 10x high ticket sales for coaches in particular. The other solution is I can take the sales process off your plate. So you can focus 100% of your time on your coaching. I ask for no upfront investment. And only when the money hits your Stripe account do I ask to get paid. So I make it as easy as possible. I take up all the risk in terms of that. I don't use any sales calls, so I'm using email back and forth, email conversations with people to really follow that same process that I just talked about, really getting to know them, getting to know their outcomes, inserting some of those testimonials or a little bit more about your story, and really customizing that offer and putting it in front of them without high pressure sales calls where they have to have a yes or no at the end of 20 minutes or 30 minutes at the end of that time. So a lot of coaches run webinars where there's a lot of people that get lost along the way. Those people that don't watch the webinar all the way through, those people that book a call but don't show up, or those people that book a call and say no to you for whatever reason. All those people I can engage in along the way in email conversations, close them for you, take a lot of time off your calendar, and raise your conversions really significantly. And at the very least, I'm really going to be able to feed back to you the exact language that you can use in your ads, in your webinar, to improve them, to improve the conversions, to know exactly who you're talking to, what language they use to describe their problems, the outcomes they're looking for, and all those kind of things. So all across your funnel, I can raise the conversions just by going through the process and really creating kind of a dictionary that kind of speaks to your ideal client as much as possible. So if this was helpful, kind of walking you through, especially if you're a coach handling your own sales calls, hit that like button on whatever platform you're watching on. Smash that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, talking every day about high ticket sales, especially from a coaching perspective. And drop me a comment below. Like, what are your biggest struggles, especially if you're running your own sales calls in terms of handling objections or getting the conversions that you're looking for? What's your best theory, or what are you struggling with the most as you conduct some of those? So with that, I'll catch you on a future live.